So we had a nice lunch with Joe today. I had some sort of raw tuna with a dressing on it, which was nice, but it didn't agree with me. And the gravlax I had 2 or 3 weeks ago at Les Orangery didn't agree with me. So I think raw fish is off my agenda now, sadly. um, I was reading a book. I was watching a week or so ago. I was watching Sandy and Jessica Brock do a book club. Um, Sandy Brock of Canadian sheep farmer fame, and Jessica, her daughter, who's just gone through a chemo for cancer. They do a book book club vlog, and they were talking about a book, one of the books that Jess had read called The Silent Patient. And I thought, that sounds interesting. I'll look that up. I looked it up and started to read it. And it sort of felt like it was up my street. The protagonist was a psychotherapist, and it was set around London and talking about stuff that seemed familiar to me. And I kept reading. And it wasn't until yesterday that I was sitting reading it, having got 80% of the way through, that I suddenly thought, oh God, this is such a load of trash. It really was. It was pushing all of my buttons. It was pushing my buttons because the psychotherapist was so unbounded, really pushed my buttons. I thought, I can't. This is ridiculous. And I don't really care who did it. I don't care who got murdered or who murdered who. That's it. So I stopped. I mean, often when you give up on a book, you might have read the first 50, 100 pages, but it's almost full through. And I thought, no, I can't. So I go on to Goodreads. It reminded me of how do you choose a book nowadays? Because it reminded me of when we were living in Canterbury and when we were living in Devon, that we would spend Saturday mornings browsing in WH Smith's and in Waterstones, and you could look at the books. You could see you could see the book covers and all the stuff, and you could see what was coming in new. And I think Mark was probably reading The Guardian, so looking and seeing what books have been reviewed, um, and I can't do that now. I can't go browsing in shops for books. Well, unless I want to read in French, and I've never done that, so I ain't going to be starting that at 68 years old. So I went on to Goodreads because I think sometimes that's a way of looking for a book to read. I couldn't find anything that sprung out to me, and then I did a search, and I thought I'll do a search. So I did a search for books written, fictional accounts around Canterbury, but all I came up with was a lot of stuff in Chaucer's Tales. I didn't want to go through wading through Chaucer's Tales. And then I thought, well, I'll look for look for stuff around North Devon. So I looked for stuff around North Devon and came up with something called, I did this the other day, I did this earlier with Joe. I can't remember what it's called now. It's like called Yellow something. I'll just have a look because I've got a Kindle on my tablet, so I should be able to find it on here. And it's about a plague. It's about a plague after the it's about a pandemic, but after the COVID. God, that's bad, isn't it? Here we go. Yellow Death. Yellow Death, it's called, and it's by Peter R. Hall. It reviewed quite well, so I thought, well, I'll give it a go, and it's going okay so far. We'll see. But yeah, it just reminded me, how do you choose books nowadays? You can't go and look at, you can't, well, some of us can't. I nearly went for the latest Richard Osman book, The Last Devil to Die, but it's $11.99 as a Kindle. And I thought, I'm not paying that for a Kindle. So I was talking to Jo about that, and she says what she does is that she puts it onto her Kindle wish list, and then every so often checks her wish list and checks the books, and if they've gone down or have a reduction, she'll then buy it. So that's a good idea. So I'll do that. Um, excuse me. We went for a blood test for Mark this morning. It's got quite confusing about the blood test. He's supposed to have according to the ordinance, he's supposed to have a blood test every 2 weeks, but the nurses have not realised it's every 2 weeks and they're doing it every week. But then he had another blood test that he needed to have done after 12 days for his increased blood pressure medication, and that was today. So we went in, and the nurse said, "Well, we're already expecting him," but they were expecting him for the plaquette blood test, which they've done today. But he didn't really need that today, so he's getting that every week rather than every other week. We're both getting sick of the anticoagulant injections. I think probably him more than me, but I hate giving it. It's just horrible, having to stab him in the stomach every night. I think there are about 6 left. So that's not too bad. We'll get there. I have made myself an appointment with a podologue. The one that I used to see is not coming up on page jaune, yellow pages. There's no he's there, but there's no telephone number for him, so I don't know whether he's still where he was. And then I left a message for somebody on Friday, and she's not responded to me. So I've gone to DocLib again and found a podologue on there in Chauvigny. It seems that we're in Chauvigny so much at the moment, most of the stuff needs to be done over there. And that's just under 2 weeks' time. Because my foot hurts like mad, so I've got to get on and do these things for myself. I'm really struggling with that. It's bad, isn't it? It's bad how we don't take care of ourselves. Or I talk about I don't take care of myself. I know I talk about it and people say I should and all of that, but it's just so difficult when it's a little bit like when you've got a mental illness and you're not wearing it on the outside. So somebody that's walking along on crutches or with a plaster on their leg or a sling on their arm or a bandage around their head, physically you can see that there's a problem, and then so that goes up at the top of the list. But when the problem's not so obvious, like a lot of people with mental illness sort of don't get seen because you can't see always the mental illness. It's not on show. They don't get seen or taken so seriously, and I think I'm doing the same with me. It's like my limp for me is painful and I can feel that I'm limping, but maybe it doesn't show on the outside. My elbow's really sore and I keep knocking it. Again, you can't see it, so it's not on the top of the list. That's mad, isn't it? So I did a bit of Christmas shopping yesterday, and that was very quick because Phil and I have agreed that it's ridiculous buying for him and Becky, and him buying for us when they don't know what to get us and I don't know what to get them. So we've agreed not to do that. So we're not. So I just did a bit of Christmas shopping for Thea, who is going to be 7 in April, but seems much older than that. Is older, is bigger than that, taller than that. She's above the 90th centile, so she's taller than all of the kids of her in her class. She's taller. Clothes she's in for 8-year-olds. So I bought her some books because she's reading really well now. She's on free readers, which means something to somebody. I bought her 2 or 3 books, and I bought some pajamas. And I thought, that's it, my Christmas shopping is done, because I've sorted Joe, and don't buy for anybody else. We used to buy for Mary, but she's gone. And then I thought I'd buy something for my sister, so I've done that. Oh, and then we wanted to get something. Every year I get something for the nurses. I always try and get them something that isn't chocolate, because people come in with chocolates, and I'm thinking, as nurses ourselves, when you were working, it's always chocolate, and which is nice, but eventually you can have enough chocolate. So I always try and get them something that isn't chocolate, but it's a bit difficult. Last year, I think I bought them hand cream. So this year, I'm sort of thinking, well, what am I going to do this year? And I think what I'm going to do is go to our restaurant where we went yesterday to La Pâtisson and get a bon de chat pour a lump of money for them to have a meal out. They have a meal out once a week anyway. You often see them in there about once a week. So I thought, well, we could pay for that. That would be a nice way to appreciate their care, because they've had to do a bit more for both of us this year. I mean, I'm there every month anyway, but they've been doing a bit, and I know it's their job, but it's nice to appreciate people that are taking care of you, and they're a nice group of nurses, and they don't get the same benefits that French people do that are working for a company. A lot of French people, if you're working for a company, you get meal vouchers, get vouchers towards your lunch, and of course they don't get that because they're independent. So it'd be quite nice to pay for them to have a meal, pay for one of their meals anyway that they have out normally. So that's what I'm going to do for them. And I don't think I've got. Mark will order himself a couple of kits, because he does that every year, chooses a couple of kits to unwrap on Christmas morning. And I never have anything, or rarely have anything to unwrap. It's my own fault, because there's nothing I want, nothing I need. And what happens is, during the year, if I want something, I buy it. And I don't wear jewellery, I don't wear makeup, I do wear jewellery, but it's jewellery I don't keep changing. I don't change my earrings because I'm allergic to lots of things in my ears, so they stay in. The same rings are on my hands. I sometimes might put a bracelet on, but I just get pissed off with it because it irritates me somehow. Come back, you're providing light. Thank you. So yeah, don't wear makeup, don't wear jewellery, don't hate perfume. So yeah, I don't know, but we've just agreed that I need to find something that can be wrapped and I can open it on Christmas morning, because quite often I sit here on Christmas morning and there isn't anything for me to unwrap, which is a bit sad. This iMac that I bought earlier on in the year is really my Christmas present, so we could wrap that up and I could unwrap it again. We've still got the box, could put it back in the box, I could do an unwrapping. Yeah, there was one more thing that came out. Oh, that's it. Every year we order, every year for the last few years we order a Discworld calendar. And I just remembered it today, and I went to the Discworld Emporium and it's out of stock. So you can put your email address in and they'll email you. No, they won't email you, they'll send you a clack. And if you know Discworld, you know what that means. Made me laugh. I love that. I love that shop. I just love looking at all of the stuff in there and all the, the Discworld stuff. I really could actually, maybe that's what I'll do next after I finish this book, is to start reading some Discworld. I've read a couple, and I really think they're very good and very clever, but I just can't somehow get into them in a obsessive sort of addicted way. And Mark will read them time and time again. I mean, he took 3 books into hospital, and I think I took a 4th in for him, but he's read them before. He's reading the something academicals at the moment. Can't remember what the other word is, but yeah, he's reading that at the moment. I know he's read it before, but he will read them. And I've only read a couple. I've read The Truth, and I can't remember what the other one was I read, but I really could do with perhaps getting into them, because we've got the whole load of them upstairs. Not that I like holding books, I prefer them on my Kindle. We'll see, I might do that. So there we are. I did the chickens this morning. I waited for Mark to get up, but he had a bad night and didn't look like he was going to go do the chickens, so I went and did them. I made scones this afternoon. I can't make scones. I thought, I cracked it. I followed Delia's recipe, so I followed Delia's recipe. I can't make scones. They don't rise. There's something about the flour you don't buy here. You can't buy self-raising flour. I don't think the flour I have is what you would call gatto flour. And that might have made a difference if I'd got gatto. I don't buy gatto flour because I'm only ever really using it to make bread. If I'd have had gatto flour and added baking powder to that might, because it isn't self-raising, even if it's gatto flour, that might have worked, but they just didn't rise. They were nice, but I made them quite thick, and that's how they stayed. And in fact, I had to fiddle around with the cooking, because following the instructions, I took them out and Paul Hollywood would have gone bananas. They were raw in the middle, so I had to put them back in quickly. And I watched Bake Off, the final, this morning, and that was good, but I won't say anything about that in case there are people that still want to watch it, but I'm very pleased with the winner. Well deserved. There we go. Okay, I'm watching. I don't know whether I told you, my friend Dean asked me about Anne with an E. My friend Dean from France, from art from France, who's French, asked if with an E would make her sad, and she's not well at the moment. I said, well, no, I don't think so. It's quite nice. I mean, there are sad moments in it, but it's quite moving. I think you'll be okay. She said, oh, well, okay, I'll let you know. And then after about a quarter of an hour, she said to me, she talks too fast. Of course she doesn't. I mean, she does when she gets excited. And I said, I think she slows down once her anxiety levels drop. And you can slow down the playback speed. So, of course, I've started watching it again now. This will be my third time watching it, but I'm just sitting watching that now. It's lovely. It's really nice, but I don't really need to watch it, having watched it twice already. Voila. There we go. It's Wednesday and all is well. 5:10. Soon be time to put the chickens away again. That goes so quickly. So quickly. And I do feel sorry for Ida. Somebody said, she looks so lonely on her own. We've been through this so many times. I do feel sorry for her. She'll have now, I put the chickens away in about half an hour, and she'll be on her own out there for 12, 13, 14, 15 hours. But if she went to live with another flock, she'd be outcast, and you wouldn't know whether she would be integrated. And she wouldn't be where she's only ever known. She came here when she was 6 weeks old. She's only ever known this garden. If we brought another sheep in, we have agreed, both of us, that we are now too old to start with a new family of animals. It's it's like if something happened to Jazz, I very much doubt that we would get another cat. And the chickens are great, but they require constant up and down the garden, which is okay. We are managing that, but there are times when it is really difficult. And there may come a time when we can't manage to go up and down the garden. So bringing in new animals is not fair to the new animals, and it's not fair to us when we're already struggling sometimes to deal with the animals we have. So that is why Ida is on her own. During the day when the chickens are out, they're part of her flock. In fact, I see her and the cockerel often sitting quite close together. That's how Ida does social anyway. I mean, when we go down and we give her a piece of bread or whatever, she eats the bread, and you go to reach out to touch her head, and she backs off just far enough so you can't touch her. So she's not sociable anyway. Obviously, she used to be with her mum, but even they used to butt heads a lot. Used to really smack their heads together. And that's okay when it's your mum, I think. I don't know. But I wouldn't want that happening to her in a strange flock. So this is where she's going to stay. We discussed this whenever it was that Ivy died, which was not last winter, but the winter before. So it's, it gets discussed. We're not just ignoring how she is. And it's the life that she's used to now. And it's very easy, isn't it, to project your own ideas onto animals, to think that they're bored, to think that they're lonely. But is it just what you're thinking? Is it you imagining how you would be in their shoes, or are they lonely? Is it possible for a sheep to be lonely? People talk about horses need company, but there's probably some science behind that. But yeah, how do we know if an animal's lonely? We're only projecting our own human feelings onto animals, so we don't really know. Okay, I'm off now. I know I say that and then I ramble on a bit. I do that a lot. Say I'm going, okay, thanks for blah, 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 and then I start thinking about something else. But I'm not going to do it now. I'm stopping now. I'm stopping. Bye.